adventure. So we're going to be going to
Ghent.
Yeah, we're on our way to Ghent. So at the moment we're at Wakefield Westgate. Not very glamorous, but it is sunny. The station isn't even open yet because we decided to get a really early cab and get down here because we didn't want to miss our train to London. As promised, in the next few episodes we're going to break down details of our Interrailing trip. We have just come back from our first visit. I did it years ago in my 20s as a backpacker, but now in our 50s it's something we've always wanted to do. So we're going Wakefield to King's Cross, then over to St Pancras on to Lille on the Eurostar, and then when we get to Lille we're changing to Ghent, and we're hoping to be at Ghent by tea time. It's now about, what time is it?
20 past
20 past 7 in the morning. Wanted to get here really early, which is right, isn't it?
Well, you've got to be prepared, haven't you? I didn't realise that the station's actually closed. So here we go. We're here, sat in the sun.
We can't even get breakfast.
So we'll see how the rest of the day goes.
We have quit the rat race, sold everything and started building a vintage business so that we get more freedom to go off and do the things we've always wanted to do. Today I just want to give you the overview about whether planning an interrailing trip is the right thing for you and the way that we went about that. Unfortunately, Mark can't be here. He's on dad taxi duties today, but he will be joining me in future episodes for sure. But if you'd have said to us 12 months ago that we would have been standing on a train platform with our two daughters for backpacks and not knowing where we were going to sleep that night, then I probably would have said that you were mad. Okay, so we've arrived in London at King's Cross. We're going over to St Pancras now. It's beautiful weather. Are we going to survive? We've tried to get 2 weeks worth of stuff into these backpacks. And it was part of our dream, but actually executing it and following it through was much more overwhelming and scary than we anticipated that it would be. And it did take some convincing. Because I'd done it before, it was always one of those things I did want to do again. And there's lots of places that I wanted to take Mark and the girls. But actually, planning it and doing it was a different thing because you're always finding reasons to put stuff off. And he also had concerns whether it would feel like a holiday, because when you're tired and you're working really hard and you're busy, which we have been lately with business stuff, it was, will we feel rested after this trip? But then the pull of seeing lots and lots of places became greater than the actual fear of feeling a bit tired, if that makes sense. So here we are, we're in coach 11. This is huge and it's flipping boiling, but it's very, very well organised. And so one of us wanted to plan the route like to the hour and the other wanted to completely wing it. I don't know whether you could guess who was who, but Mark is definitely a strategic, have everything in place type of guy, and I'm much more fly by the seat of our pants and see what happens type of person. So the question was very much around, do we plan this rigidly or not at all? How do we get a balance? And neither of us was right. Like, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to interrailing. You just have to design a trip that suits you and the needs of your family. When you go on these forums, there's so much advice and there's people coming back sharing their itineraries and this, we did this and we did this and you must go here and you must go there, and it's all really exciting and really interesting. But when you come to actually sit down and plan your first trip, it's super overwhelming. So we decided to approach it with a bit of both, understanding that the point of an interrailing pass is that you're free and flexible to change your mind and go and do whatever you want. And it was that bit, convincing Mark and the family that it's okay, our plans will change and stuff will evolve as we go, that became quite challenging at times. As well as worrying about that, I think underneath it there was a little bit of an undercurrent of, are we actually too old? Are we going to be exhausted? Are we going to be underprepared? Is this actually a thing for backpackers? Can we pull it off? And age was never actually the obstacle, I'm going to tell you that, because there are people in their 20s obviously doing this, and you'll see tons of that on TikTok and Instagram. But you will now see many, many more older people doing it, because if you're over 60 in particular, there is a reduced price. So you do get many people now doing this in retirement, which I just love. So here we are in Lille, bang on time, all good so far. see if we can get to the next station. The important thing to remember is that everybody likes different things on holiday. There was myself, there was Mark, and we had our 2 daughters coming with us, Mia 21 and Scarlett was 16. And it was a really lovely thing to do as a family, and Mia had this as her 21st birthday present. So, you know, we did get a bit of flack on Instagram from people saying, why are you travelling with your kids? And my answer is, why not? I mean, my 16-year-old still lives at home, so why is she not going to come with us? And the fact our 21-year-old had just finished uni, she wanted to come home and spend some time with us, and she's done loads of travelling with her friends and got plenty more things in the pipeline. It was actually a brilliant holiday, because the best thing about travelling with older children is that they were able to go off and do their own thing at each destination, and even one day they were thinking about going off to a different city and joining us later en route. So that didn't happen, they changed their mind, but the opportunity was there for them to do that. So it's perfect for travelling with your older children. So we've made it to Gare de Lille, Flandre, which is where we're going to get our connection to Ghent in Belgium. So the Eurostar we were on just then does actually carry on to Brussels. We could have gone to Brussels and changed there, but it's nice to set foot in France and then head into Belgium. So 3 countries in one day. But yeah, very cool. Here's what we did then in order, actually getting this thing mapped out, if it's any help to you, because again, no right or wrong. But we, first of all, as a family, sat down and built a dream destinations list, knowing that we were going to stay in Western Europe and not go too far, because we only had 2 weeks due to Mia's work commitments, and we knew that that area, kind of Benelux, France, Germany, had plenty for us to see. And I used to live on the French-Belgian border when I was a student. I actually studied languages and business as my degree. Lived in France for a year, know that area really, really well. And there was something very appealing about taking the family to places that I've seen before but haven't been back to for 30 odd years. So that was where we knew we were going to base it. But then we were like, what would everybody like to do? What would you like to see? So we had this destinations list. The girls straight away said they wanted to go to Versailles in Paris. They've been to Paris before together on their own, but hadn't had a chance to go to Versailles. Mark wanted the Swiss Alps, and I wanted to go to the Black Forest, Alsace region, so into Germany in the Black Forest, because I've never been there before. So we looked at those destinations and we picked a rough shape, thinking, well, to take those in, here's a rough idea. So you definitely need a map of Europe. You can obviously get them online, but we quite like having a paper map. It's quite fun. And then we decided we would probably start initially we were going to start in Paris and do Versailles. But then we were like, do we maybe save that to the end? Do we come part way through? There's lots of thinking in terms of a route, because I knew at the end of 2 weeks we were going to feel really tired. And to finish in Paris was like finishing on a high, but also you've got to remember July in a heat wave in a busy capital city, incredibly busy capital city, could be quite draining. So we weren't really sure which order we were going to do things in, but we knew, let's start at Lille, and then we can go into France or we can go across to Belgium. We're really well positioned to get going from Lille rather than heading straight into Paris. And then we figured out, well, if we want to go to Black Forest, we want to go to the Swiss Alps, where else is en route in that plan. I also had a bit of a hope that we would do like a spa day and have some downtime. We also were an ex-swimming family. My girls did masses of swimming for years, competitive swimming. And so we were like, we need to put in some swimming pools for relaxation, for a bit of exercise. And obviously it's going to be red hot in the summer. The girls were really keen to visit as many countries as possible. If they'd had their way, we'd have done 6, 7, 8 countries. But I knew that, we could comfortably do 5 across 15 days, and we could stay a couple of nights in each destination and move on. We did do a couple of one-night stays. With hindsight, Mark and I, next time, if we went on our own, would do some 3-night stays, because the pace was pretty fast. But looking again at 5 countries and trying to map a route out was where we started. We did leave a couple of days completely unplanned, which turned out to be our best and our worst day in the end. So here we are, arriving in Ghent. We made it on time. We're just looking for a cash point. Amazing. And once we knew the dates of Mia's work and the rough plan, we then were able to go and book our Interrail pass. And we booked a 10-day Flexi Global pass, which gave us 10 travel days in a window of up to 2 months. So theoretically, we could have gone away for 2 months, stayed much longer, but we would have had 10 train days to use. We only had the 15 days, but we thought actually 10 days of travel in 15 is really good. You get 1 day as your outbound, 1 day is your inbound, and then that left us with 8 days to use across the 2 weeks to get out and about. I'll go into that in another episode, what we actually did. I do want to say we're not experts. That worked for us. There's plenty of other alternatives. There's a 7-day pass, which I think, again, Mark and I would have done. We would have been fine with that, but we chose the 10 to try and get a bit further. You do, on some trains, have to make reservations. Again, I'll cover that in another episode. But the Interrail app gives you all of that information. Once you're planning it out, you pop it in the app and you put your journeys in there and it tells you. So it's pretty straightforward. And so really that's it. We did a bit of a rough shape first, fix our dates, chose the pass, and then we started to look into accommodation and reservations and things, leaving some days open on purpose. Arriving at our hotel in Ghent. We made it. It looks very cool. We're in the old town here, so hopefully we've got our room. Another episode coming up on that. We did make some mistakes. We underestimated. I've already mentioned how tiring moving on every 2 days was. We definitely over worried about what type of luggage to take, coming up again in a later episode, and we really worried about accommodation and the cost of things, but I will break it all down. So for now, there's loads of information out there. I just wanted to give you the little overview of how we started, which pass we chose, what we decided to do. If you want the full route, the real costs, every stop we made, all of our information in the description, there is a link to the Interrailing Planner that we have designed. It's an online planner using Trello. We've got literally every single step of our journey, our trip, our itinerary, our luggage, our days out, packing list is all in there. And you can take that and you can use it to build your own and customise it. And you can have it all on your phone on an app. So it's a great starting point if you did want to see more, jump ahead and see what we did. But yeah, it's definitely something that we have no regrets about doing. We're really glad we did it. And I hope that you feel inspired to go and do your own